So Thursday done and dusted very late here after a very full and fantastic press conference, staged brilliantly here in Riyadh. The lights, the action, and the two promoters, Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren. Andy Clarke with me. Andy, it's great, isn't it? The rivalry, the 5 fights which are pick'ems and at top level, plus you've got Dimitri Bivol to add to the show. It's another one of those unmissable ones.
Yeah, it is. I mean, when you look at the card, Deontay Wilder's the one who captures the attention, and I think it's important he's here because for kind of the broader sports fan, he's the name that you would really pick out. But like you say, the matchups are great, and I kind of go back and forth with it every day really as to what I think will happen. And the face-offs were really good too. They were really, really intense. You can see how much it means to all of them. And the team aspect is new for them, but I think they quite like it because boxing is very individual and very lonely a lot of the time. And Hamzah, for example, Sheeraz, I've seen him a lot this week. It does mean something to him to be captain. I think he's really kind of relishing the responsibility. And I've kind of always felt, and I'm pretty sure we've talked about this before, that the team dynamic, particularly for TV, really works because for the more casual fan, a team dynamic is really easy to understand. You wouldn't want to do it all the time, but to do it every now and again, it's something I think that execs, are quite keen on.
I think you hit the nail on the head about being a lonely sport. It really is for fighters. They're sensitive creatures. They spend so much time away, drilled down in training camps, and to have that camaraderie, you can see them all enjoying it. It's something different. It is personal. They've got their careers to move forwards, and it's vital individually. But as a team effort, it is different, and I think it is good. As you said, not all the time, but for them to get together and feel part of that team, part of a unit with a promoter like Eddie or like Frank, championing them, Deontay and Hamzah, Sheeraz as captains. It's great. It must really give them that extra buzz too.
Yeah, I think you need a particular type of promoter to really do this as well, to really kind of galvanise it. And I think these two are, we know them really, really well, but when you think about world boxing, you think about Top Rank, and if you were boxing for Bob Arum, he would instill that sort of feeling in you too. But I think they did it.
We did see Bob last week have a bit of feeling.
Yeah, we did. We absolutely did. That's how he backs his guys. So yeah, he would be suited to this. But Frank and Eddie were great up there. They just talked it up brilliantly, ran through their guys, gave every reason under the sun as to why they were going to win, and you can see that they absolutely believe it. And I'm just really looking forward to seeing the fights because, like I say, I change my mind most days on what I think will happen. Any number of things are possible, particularly in that Wilder-Zhang fight. I've got absolutely no idea what is going to happen in that fight, none.
Before we go through the fights, just a little bit about the rivalry, about the deep history. Barry Hearn, you heard Eddie up there saying the 2 words that were banned in the house, Frank Warren, and we've been there. It's really been real. It's been nasty, it's been acrimonious, it's been difficult to work with at times. They both had their own vision, their own dreams. They both believe that they're the best. So it really is a rivalry like no other.
Yeah, it is, and that's why it's kind of, it is quite astonishing to see them doing what they've been doing the last few weeks, but it's moving the sport on. We can see that it's moving the sport on, but as you say, it is 100% real, that rivalry. And animosity is the right word for it down the years. It has been like that because when you want to be the number one, you can't take any prisoners. You have to be completely ruthless and completely focused on achieving what you want to achieve. It is win at all costs, isn't it? Do whatever it takes. And they've both always been like that. And then in a way, that's a kind of a lonely existence too, because there isn't really much room for friends in that environment, is it? And that's why, as time has gone on, we've seen kind of, it started in America and then it came here, didn't it? Individual promoters going to individual TV networks because they don't want to share, do they? They do not want to share, but they're doing it here.
They're doing everything here under Turki Al Sheikh here in Riyadh. I had to go to that press conference, that first one when Eddie and Frank shook hands. It just was extraordinary, and what they've done here, you can't quite believe it. It's pinch yourself. You go back a couple of years and none of this would have been possible. Let's talk the fights. That's what we are, fight fans and commentators. Where do we start? Let's start with Craig Richards and Willie Hutchinson. A fight most people are leaning towards Craig for, maybe with the experience and obviously fighting Bivol. Where do you lie with that? What do you feel? Where's your hunch with that, Andy?
Yeah, I think you have to back Craig Richards because you look at the body of work. But with him, it's not just that. I've commentated on maybe his first like 15, 16 fights, and he was always one of these people who you could see that opponents early in a fight would realise, actually, he's better than I thought he was. He doesn't look all that special, but he does everything well. And his will to win, his self-confidence is real. And he's only lost against good fighters, you know, stepping up at short notice against Buglioni, Bivol, Buatsi, but he doesn't want to be measured by defeats. He's had some big wins, but he needs to get this win and then really kick on. And you look at the kind of body of work there. For Hutchinson to win, he's going to have to show us something we've never seen from him before. Now, that doesn't mean he can't, but that's what he's going to have to do. So, being the painfully kind of logical, rational man that I am, I think you have to pick Craig Richards.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Shane McGuigan as well had that little impact on Craig Richards, but one we cannot wait for. Ray Ford against Nick Ball. Well, featherweight title at stake. Nick Ball, many thought was very unlucky last time. It's come around quickly again for Nick. Ray Ford I like. He's classy, he's crafty. Brian Peters doesn't get involved with fighters who aren't very good. I like him in that fight, I think, Ray Ford, but Nick Ball is going to make it an all exciting action pack night.
Yeah, I think that one could be really, really tight. I think we might have a situation where Ford's up at halfway and then Ball just tries to run him down in the second half of the fight, because people have been talking about how Ray's tight at the weight, and I think he is, but everybody's tight at the weight at the lower weights. I mean, that's just how it is, but I think he genuinely is, and that maybe he's been holding on at featherweight because he had to, because he was homing in on a world title shot. So you've got to stay at the weight. Then he won the world title. You're definitely going to stay at the weight then. And you get an offer to come here. You're staying at the weight. But that fight against Kolmatov was really hard, and it was only 3 months ago. So I just think that could get very, very interesting. I think that, you know, it'll just be, will there be enough? Will Nick Ball run out of road, I think, towards the end? Can Ford get far enough ahead? That's how I kind of see it. And
he doesn't stop, does he?
No, he really, really doesn't. He really doesn't. I think that's going to be, very good, that one.
Hamzah Sheeraz, captain of Team Queensberry. I really like Hamzah Sheeraz, former Young Boxer of the Year with the Riders Club, and really special. And the way he's going through opponents with class, took himself away to America a long time ago. Ammo Williams, though, is good. He's tough, he's unpredictable, as Eddie said. He's going to know he's been in a really, really hard fight, whatever happens, Sheeraz. But Sheeraz captain, and probably captain for a reason.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's enjoying being captain. I think he really is. You know, I've seen him around the place a lot the last few days. This is a very difficult one to pick, because for both of them, this is their most difficult fight of their career. Hamzah's had some good wins. Liam Williams is a good win, but I think Liam Williams was pretty much finished, to be honest, by the time those two boxed. He'd had some defeats, and he put him away brilliantly, but I'm not saying it doesn't mean anything, but I just feel like the Liam Williams he wasn't the best Liam Williams.
No.
Whereas Ammo's had a win against Steve Rolls, you know, he's a decent enough guy. He went the distance against Edgar Berlanga not that long ago, was in with Triple G. So I think, like, this is the biggest test for the pair of them, and we'll find out a lot of both of them.
They're
on the
both
night.
stepping up.
Yeah, they are. I mean, I've got a bit of British bias in this one, I suppose, just because I've seen more of Hamzah than I have of Ammo. But then again, I saw him quite a lot before Taylor Prograis, because he was down training at the Peacock in Plaistow with Regis, and that's really near where I live. So I went down there and saw them like 3 or 4 times just because I could, basically. And I really liked that team. So yeah, I don't know on that one. I really don't know. I'll say Hamzah, but it's not really based on much.
Then there's the heavyweights. I don't know which is really top of the bill, I guess, because it's Wilder, but really interesting fight. Filip Hrgovic and Daniel Dubois. They sparred many, many years ago. Hrgovic believes that was easy. I think he still believes it's going to be fairly comfortable, and behind that big jab, and people saying he's going to be the next Klitschko, but it's never quite happened yet. Wasn't great against Zhilei Zhang when he was in Saudi Arabia before, but he has got tools. Dubois, tough, strong, we know what he brings. We saw against Jarrell Miller. He did well against Usyk, but he has got those defeats. Do you think that Dubois can overcome Hrgovic this time and give him all the trouble in the world?
I think it can give him problems, yeah, because I think he took a lot of confidence from what happened against Miller. I think he took some from what happened against Lorena, and then you had Usyk in the middle, and Usyk's Usyk, so there was no disgrace in that. I think he's got to start quick. What Hrgovic likes to do is start quite quick himself, start cuffing you around with those big, heavy sandbag hands, and when he's got you kind of under control a little bit, then you've got a problem, because he's very difficult to shift out of that kind of monster truck gear he can get into. So he's got to start. He's got to start quick, I think, Daniel, and really just look to box in a tempo that he's uncomfortable with, and just back himself to be able to keep it up.
Scary guy, Hrgovic, isn't he? Some of those fighters' meetings, he's really scary.
Yeah, he is, absolutely, yeah. He's got that great kind of, he's got that vibe about him, hasn't he?
He has very much. Also, Deontay Wilder, what a great career he's had. But is it almost the end of his fantastic career? How much has the trilogy with Tyson Fury taken out of him? We've had so many wonderful, fantastic, spine-tingling nights with Deontay Wilder and that concussive power against Zhilei Zhang, who has looked good at times, looked very good against Joseph Parker for 4 or 5 rounds, and then sort of didn't really get anywhere. Hats off to Parker, but Zhang sort of fell apart, fell asleep. How do you assess this one? Shootout?
I think so. Yeah, it's really kind of hard to. It's really hard to tell with Wilder. I think there's still desire there because he wouldn't be here if there wasn't. He doesn't need to be here. He's achieved a lot. He's made a lot of money. He could have called it a day. I do think that absolute razor edge where you will do anything to win, absolutely anything. I think that Wilder, I think he's left the building, and that happens sometimes as they get older, doesn't it? That they just get that little bit civilised and they lose that slight edge, that kind of the demeanour he used to have in fight week he doesn't have anymore. That doesn't mean he can't still win big fights, but I think that that devil in him I don't think is necessarily there anymore, but he can still land that right hand, and if he does then you're done pretty much, unless you're Tyson Fury. But then Zhang's not as easy to hit as people think. You know, he's got a little bit of lateral movement. People think like, well, he'll just be standing there, that massive
quick hands.
Yeah. I mean, but Wilder's got a chin, hasn't he? So I could think about this all day and I still couldn't give you a proper answer, to be honest, as to what I think will happen with it. It's fascinating. It's a great match, and you know they both lost to the same guy, so they put them in together, and that's what they're doing here now, isn't it? That's how it goes.
A lot of bumping into each other in hotels earlier. I did bump into Andy earlier today, and I didn't see a picture of his new book with Deontay Wilder holding it about the knockout, and I can't wait to read it. I'm really excited, Andy.
Thanks. It's been a great day today, you know what the boxing community's like. Everybody really, I've been asking people to message about it and they've all been really happy to do it. Messages and pictures and all the rest of it, and yeah, I loved writing it, and I've said this a lot of times, and I'm not just trying to be, it's not some kind of humble brag. The contributions I got from the likes of David Hay, Ricky Hatton, Carl Froch, Tony Bellew, Amir Khan, Matt Macklin, Johnny Nelson, Teddy Atlas, who was here tonight, so many other people. If I couldn't write a good book with that, then I needed shooting, to be honest. So, you know, I can't. They are what makes it. And putting it together it was fun. It was fun, really was.
I did one about 10 years ago, and it was a lot of hard work. So well done, Andy. I'm going to grab a copy off you. I'm going to force one off you. Thank you for joining us, Andy Clarke here in Riyadh. Thursday over, Friday weigh-in to go. Then the big night here, 5 against 5. It's Frank against Eddie. Yeah, and who's going to be singing on the plane on the way back to London? We can't wait to find out.